Even though every comic book character goes through major alterations, few of them have changed more than Venom. He may be an anti-hero now, but when he debuted, Venom was a straight-up villain, and the savage beast has committed a lot of horrific acts over the years. The success of the Venom films proves that Eddie Brock is one of the most popular anti-heroes, but we can't deny all the evil he's done. So with that in mind, I'm Dan from What Culture, and these are the 10 worst things Venom has ever done. Number 10. He threatened to kill Spider-Man's daughter. Spider-Man Renew Your Vows Issue 1. Blaming Spider-Man for making him lose his reputation as a journalist, Eddie Brock became obsessed with the Wallcrawler, and when Eddie Brock turned into Venom, he vowed to use the symbiote's power to destroy the superhero's life. Even though Spider-Man has a lot of dangerous foes, Venom gets special mention since he's one of the few people that know the Webhead's secret identity. Preying on Peter Parker's family and loved ones, Venom has successfully made his enemy's life a living hell. Spider-Man Renew Your Vows takes place in an alternate timeline, where Peter has a child with Mary Jane Watson called Annie. When Peter came home one day to see Venom holding his wife and child prisoner, he launched a vicious assault against the symbiote. Venom then informed Peter that he'll never stop coming for him, and will suck Annie's brain out of her skull the first chance he gets. Spider-Man knew Eddie meant what he said, compelling him to kill his nemesis then and there. Number 9. He poisoned Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man number 569 to 570. After Eddie Brock developed brain cancer, he gave up the symbiote and tried to live the remainder of his life in peace. But when Mr. Negative used his healing powers on Brock, it eradicated the cancer from his body. When the symbiote came into contact with Eddie again, the healing properties of Mr. Negative's power converted Venom into a detoxifying entity called Anti-Venom. Because Eddie's new form actually cured any disease or virus in his proximity, you'd assume Anti-Venom could do a lot of good. But there's one problem. Spider-Man obtained his abilities after being bitten by an irradiated spider. So when Spidey was in range of Anti-Venom, the symbiote eradicated the radiation that was coursing through the web-slinger's body, depowering him. Even though Eddie had nothing but good intentions after bonding with Anti-Venom, he caused Spider-Man to lose his powers repeatedly, which almost resulted in his death. Worse still, if Anti-Venom is near Peter Parker for too long, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man would lose his powers forever, or even die. Thankfully, the situation corrected itself when Eddie reverted back to Venom. Of course, this was bad news for Eddie, since he was stuck with the evil symbiote once again. Number 8. He murdered a cop in his debut. Amazing Spider-Man number 300. When Spider-Man learned the symbiote suit he was wearing was poisoning his mind, he immediately tried to get rid of it. Discovering that the alien costume was hypersensitive to loud noises, Spidey headed to the bell tower of a church. The ringing bell weakened the extraterrestrial, causing it to fall off Peter. Little did he realise, Eddie Brock was preying just below him, allowing the symbiote to bond with Eddie, turning the former journalist into Venom. Upon returning to the cathedral where Venom was born, Brock said to himself that the building felt like a fitting place for Spider-Man to die, since it was here where Venom was born. Suddenly, a beat cop appeared and pulled his gun on Eddie, mistaking him for a thief. Eddie used the symbiote's power to shoot a tendril from his body into the police officer's mouth, suffocating him to death. This was a momentous occasion, since it was the first time we saw Venom take a life. Even though Venom has killed many times, this incident is among the most heartless. Number 7. He killed 4 people at Peter Parker's school. Marvel Knights, number 7 to 8. Eddie Brock may be the most famous person to serve as Venom's host, but he's not the only one. After the mobster, Don Fortunato, got his hands on the symbiote, he gifted it to his wimpy son Angelo, hoping it would toughen him up. After bonding with Venom, Angelo absorbed its memories, instinctively learning about Spider-Man's true identity. Believing he could do his family proud by murdering the famed superhero, this incarnation of Venom broke into Peter Parker's high school reunion and slaughtered 2 people. After tracking down Spidey, Angelo punched through his spine and ripped out his heart. However, Angelo realized that this Spider-Man was just posing as a wall crawler so he could sell pictures to the Daily Bugle. After watching Angelo murder several people, the real Spidey beat him to a pulp. Angelo got thrashed so badly, the symbiote considered him to be too weak to serve as its host and abandoned him. But because Angelo was in mid-air when the Clintar left, the mobster plummeted to the ground, dying on impact. Even though Angelo was only Venom for a brief period, his time with the symbiote resulted in 4 deaths in a single night. Number 6. He ate Spider-Man. What If number 114. The final issue of What If Volume 2 takes place in an alternate reality where the heroes and villains of the Secret Wars saga never escaped Battleworld, the same planet where Spider-Man bonded with the symbiote. Set 25 years in the future, another war is initiated by the children of the original participants. While fighting against the forces of evil, Claw is confronted by Spider-Man, who is wearing the alien suit. Sensing the wall crawler, Claw blasted him with a sonic wave, ripping Venom off his body. As the symbiote peeled off, we could see that there was nothing left of Peter's body, save for his skeleton. Because Peter bonded with the Clintor almost immediately after arriving on Battleworld, the symbiote had been feeding off his body the entire time. Number 5. Eddie sold Venom to Scorpion. Marvel Knights Spider-Man, number 8 to 9. Eddie Brock may have committed a lot of evil as Venom, but he was actually a pretty decent guy before crossing paths with the symbiote. The only reason Eddie descended into villainy is because the extraterrestrial suit compels the wearer to give in to their primal urges, especially violence. As dangerous as Venom is, he would have been much worse if he had have merged with a deranged psychopath. Sadly, this is exactly what happened in Marvel Knights. Vowing to live a pure life, Eddie got rid of the symbiote by selling it at an auction. Unfortunately, the alien suit found its way into the hands of one of Spider-Man's classic supervillains, Mac Gargan, aka the Scorpion. As Venom, Mac devoured civilians, Atlanteans, Skrulls, an entire Thunderbolt security team, and Asgardians. What makes Scorpion's reign of terror even worse is that it was initiated by Eddie's decision to discard the symbiote because he was tired of innocent people getting hurt. Ironically, his actions led to Scorpion killing more people as Venom than Eddie ever did. Number 4. He drove his wife to suicide. Amazing Spider-Man number 19. After Eddie Brock became obsessed with Peter Parker, his wife, Anne Weying, left him. When she learned that Eddie turned into a supervillain called Venom and intended to destroy Peter, she convinced her ex-husband to abandon his feud. Although this was the perfect moment for the two to live happily ever after, that sort of thing never happens in comics. After Anne suffered a lethal gunshot, a part of Venom merged with her to heal her wounds. However, this bonding caused Anne to transform into the murderous She-Venom. After she killed several people, Anne was left rattled with guilt, to the point where she couldn't even leave her house. When Eddie came to her home years later, her anxiety exasperated, causing her to collapse on the floor. Upon seeing Spider-Man swinging through the city, Eddie became convinced that it was his fault that his ex-wife was scared, and so transformed into Venom in front of Anne before heading out to hunt down the wall crawler. When Anne saw Eddie turn into Venom, she convinced herself that she would never be free of the symbiote. Unable to live in her fear, she jumped out of the window, plummeting to her death. Number 3. He became a cannibal. Venom the Hunger. Venom the Hunger begins with Eddie Brock craving all sorts of junk food. However, all the food he ate tasted disgusting to him, causing his hunger to grow. When he encountered some thugs, he realised he was craving the chemical phenethylamine, which is found in the brain. After ripping the mob to shreds, Venom gorged on their brains, satiating his hunger. Eddie is not a fan of eating head juice, and so he ordered his other half never to resort to cannibalism again. Venom refused and abandoned his host in order to eat as many brains as he wanted. But because Eddie trained the symbiote only to kill bad guys, Venom was nice enough to maintain his host's moral code, and only munched on criminals. However, that doesn't change the fact that Venom was still chowing down on people's heads. When Eddie discovered that phenethylamine is a major component of chocolate, he bonded with Venom once more and convinced him to become a chocoholic to curb his carnivorous desires. Number 2. He created Carnage. Amazing Spider-Man number 360. After meeting defeat by Spider-Man's hands, Eddie Brock was incarcerated in Rikers Island prison, where he shared a cell with serial killer Cletus Cassidy. When the symbiote tracked Eddie down, it bonded with him, allowing Venom to break out of jail. However, Eddie left Rikers so quickly, he didn't realise that the symbiote had birthed a spawn in his cell. After Venom's offspring merged with Cletus, it transformed him into the tyrannical supervillain, Carnage. With his newfound power, Cletus could kill anyone with a thought, making him a more efficient murderer than ever. Venom reluctantly allied with Spider-Man to defeat Carnage. The only good thing that came from Carnage's creation was that he inspired Venom to abandon his life as a supervillain. Nevertheless, it doesn't make up for the thousands of people who have died by Carnage's hands. Number 1. He unleashed Knull upon the universe. Absolute Carnage number 5. In recent years, it's been revealed that the symbiotes were created billions of years ago by a primordial god called Knull. Just before he was about to unleash devastation across the cosmos, Knull was sealed away by the very spawn he created. When Carnage learned of this dark god, he did everything in his power to release him. Cletus Kasady discovered that he could strengthen Knull if the symbiotes were merged together. Turning into Carnage, Cletus consumed the remnants, or codices, of everyone who ever bonded with a symbiote, absorbing them into himself. When Eddie Brock learned Carnage had kidnapped his son, he tracked down the deranged psychopath. Just as Cletus was about to slay the boy, Eddie bonded with all the codices and used their power to murder Carnage. Upon killing Carnage, Eddie bonded with him, causing the codices to release Knull from his prison. The ancient deity immediately declared war on all of existence and invaded Earth with an army of symbiotes. Even though Venom ultimately defeated Knull, the superheroes of the world were furious with him, since his actions nearly caused all of reality to be destroyed by Knull.